I had done it for miniatures for a long time, and I really wanted to do something else. And so actually Jim Cameron gave me the opportunity to move up as a supervisor. And so at Digital Domain, I did Sergeant Bilko. That was my first show as supervisor. And it's not a whole lot of people probably saw the movie, but it was, yeah, it's Steve Martin, and it's a hovering tank. And so we did that as a miniature and motion control, and we built a big sort of set out in the parking lot again. We always built stuff in the parking lot. It was a set that was sort of this grassy, flat area that was a reproduction of what we shot in Simi Valley. It was just dead weeds, you know. So the whole thing was built up on a platform, I think probably 3 feet, and we actually had a track and a slit in the set that came up to a pole that could allow the model that actually looked like it was sort of hovering over the ground, and we added heat distortion and composited the rest of Simi Valley and back there. And so that was my first job as supervisor. So, but I was trying to stay away from the model stuff because there was more going on than just, you know, I couldn't run the shop. I could say, you know, I just ran Clark and James into the ground. I'm surprised he doesn't hate me for it, but it was the first thing I did. But Clark really did a great job.
The main shots involved a large tabletop miniature that we built. I guess it was about, what, 30 by 50 feet. We did it out in the parking lot where we could put our miniature hover tank, and it was this whole hover tank sequence. So we had a slit going through the set and basically a track underneath, and a couple of guys would have to ride on this little trolley because there were a couple of puppeteering arms for the tank to make it, you know, move on this gimbal, and the other guy would have to be pulling it along, be the horsepower to the trolley, and get to this end point and crash. One of the scenes we had to do was crash into some bleachers, and so I had to build these quarter-scale bleachers that were made out of balsa wood and lead, and to represent, you know, the steel and the hardwood. We put some air cannons underneath that, and right when this tank hits it, of course, it just blasts it into a bunch of pieces. It's all pre-broken pieces, all carefully put back together and cleaned up to look like they're not broken again. And I think we had 3 takes of that. Usually do about 2 or 3 takes, just for safety. Take 1 is usually just to figure out what the heck you're going to do with take 2. Take 2 is hopefully you get it, and take 3 is in case it doesn't go right. And if there's a take 4, well, you just went over budget.
I had come in to do some distressed trucks and stuff like that the hover tank smashes into.
The truck, we built this beautiful, gorgeous army truck, deuce and a half, a modern one. And basically what I did, my strength was not so much in scratch and building. And I can do it, but that's not where I'm best. I'm really good at making details, the lights and the grill and the little stuff that it needs when it gets to that point. And that was something Gene was never really, that wasn't his strong part. So we both as a team worked well because we could do each other's job, but we had our own specialty. And then they took this beautiful truck and decided, well, it's going to get rammed by this hover tank. We did the tank too. But the tank, I think there was a lot of Bondo. I was involved in the building, but I certainly was the painting and detailing again. The truck was, you know, like 6 feet or something, and just beat the shit out of it. I was like, oh, it was sad. And it was beaten up so much that an aluminum hover tank couldn't possibly do that damage to it. And we did the filming of it hitting the thing and tipping it. And then they cut the whole sequence out because the director decided it's too violent and this is a comedy. Yeah, that's what we thought. Like, and then why did we build it, you know?
The model shop was now across the street, and I heard the guys, they ran over to a forklift to go grab the hover tank, and they had it on, you know, on a strap that's on the forks of the forklift.
There was one of those loading ramps that was you know, had a slope. He goes down the ramp.
You usually go down a ramp backwards in a forklift. Well, they went forwards. Well, that points your forks down, which isn't too big of a deal as long as you go nice and slow. Well, it was early morning and there was dew on the ramp. So the forklift hits this ramp and it just starts sliding, and there are no brakes then.
And at the bottom of the ramp were these wires. And it was misty and wet and you know what's coming. Well, just about the time it gets to the bottom of the ramp, he was slow down. He puts on his brakes, but the forklift ain't stopping. Keeps on going, and it wasn't tied off on the end. The chain was just thrown over the forks. Well, 3 or 4 weeks worth of model making just went swing right off the end of the forklift and smashed into a million pieces.
And this thing was Humpty Dumpty, shattered, and all the king's horses and all the king's men were in the model shop with tubes of glue, putting them back together again.
It's just like they're going to be filming this thing after lunch, right? God, everybody was mobilized. I mean, everybody was mobilized. They called me in. I was working on the truck. It's like, we got to get this thing back together again.
I mean, it was like a mess. I remember coming out and seeing 6 guys in the paint room gluing this mosaic together. And I'm like going, my paint job? Damn. And it's like, I'm going to walk away. And they were frantic because, like, now we're really late.
And all I hear are just, expletives yelling from across the street. And I knew something bad happened. Went out there and the model's just shattered. So we go running back into the model shop and take all the pieces in there. And right about then, the visual effects supervisor, Pat Mcclung, comes driving by, and we see him, and he sees that we're all in the model shop. And I know his red flags go up. Why are they in the model shop?
The model falling off the forklift right before we were going to shoot, and I looked at it, I said, you can glue this back together today. I said, you can absolutely do it. And they did. They put it all back together. We shot with it that day.
We reassembled the whole thing, and it was ready to shoot by lunch.
Luckily, we only had to shoot one side, so that's the side that got heroed up for that shot. And sure enough, he cracked the whip enough, and we did it. We got it out there for him and got our shots off. But, stuff happens. You got to fix it.